was.
But there was at least, you said you thought 2.5 to 3 minutes between the time when the municipal officers tried to hoist on top of the roof, Crooks pointed the gun at them, they dropped, and then between that time and when he fired the shots.
I don't want to give you an exact period of time, but it was minutes. It was a very short period of time, even for his ability.
But not seconds.
I would say minutes.
I want to ask you a question. From the time that a law enforcement officer was hoisted up, was identified by the shooter turns his rifle on him, how long between that encounter and the first shot?
So I'm glad you asked me that question, Congressman. I'd like to clarify. So it was a matter of seconds.
Okay. Because I think earlier it might have been minutes.
Correct, and I appreciate you asking that question and allowing me to clarify it on the record. When I assigned that number, which again, I don't want to get locked into a timeline of 3 minutes before, that's probably a total amount of time that he was on the roof. When the one local officer hoisted the other one up and subsequently falls, releases himself after being faced with that.
Shooter shuffles across the roof, takes his first.
He's already, I believe, close to being in his final position there.
Okay.
And I'm told it's, again, sequence of events, not a timeline based on the prior criteria laid out, but seconds after that is when the first shots rang out.
He was doing his job. I wouldn't even be doing this. I'd be at some beautiful place with a gorgeous ocean. The
Look, they're all pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down, see him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
And still I'm here with you fighting like hell to get a senator.
What's happening?
And to make sure we take back the White House, because if we do, we're going to make America better than ever before. We're going to make it.
Yeah, look.
And it's
There he
not
is.
easy, because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people, criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here. And it's much tougher than if it happened. We have the strongest border ever. In recorded history, we had the best border. In fact, if they could ever put up a chart, I don't know if they can do it. Do you guys have access to that chart that I love so much? You don't mind if I go off teleprompter, do you? Because these teleprompters are so damn boring, I try and explain that. Oh, there's it. Wow. You guys are doing it. They're getting better with time. My guys, take a look at that chart. Take a look at the arrow on the bottom. See the big red arrow, right? So that's when I left office. That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that says...
Answer. I don't know what the protocol would be to issue the hold order. And just as a point of clarification that I tried to clean up with the congressman from New Jersey before, when the two municipal officers were, one was hoisted.
Can I jump on that 2 to 3 minutes, because I got limited time here.
Just to make sure, that was seconds before. That was seconds before Crooks started firing.
Okay, you had said earlier today it was 2 to 3 minutes, but you're saying seconds before.
Yes, sir.
Okay, exposing the coverage of the window of the entire roof. Are you aware that local law enforcement and Secret Service had full access to that building in that room?
My understanding is that they did.
Yeah. Why weren't security teams, sir, on site able to spot a 20-year-old kid with zero camouflage crawling up a white roof with an AR-15 that several rally goers were screaming and yelling and pointing out, and they noticed him, and they weren't even there to conduct security. They were there to watch the president. Do you have any idea why the security teams couldn't find that guy?
I do not, sir.
Would the gentleman yield for just a second on that? So just for clarification, it was the ESU guys that were manning those buildings.
Yep.
And they left because of the call of the suspicious person. So they left their post there to go look for him. They're the same individuals who attempted to climb up the building and were scared away by the shooter pointing the gun, right?
I reclaim my time. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm just wondering why they weren't able to find him, because even while they were looking, they could have still looked out that window that they had access to. All right. Colonel Paris, I'm just going to say it. Are you aware, sir, that many Americans believe this was very likely not a lone shooter, but a coordinated assassination attempt? Have you been getting those messages from people like I have?
I have not, sir.
You haven't? Well, there's a lot of people in this room that have been getting the same messages. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that a lot of Americans are like, this doesn't add up, this doesn't make sense, guys? How could this many things have gone wrong, right? Like the things I pointed out, a 20-year-old kid, got 150 yards of the President of the United States with an AR-15, flew a drone to conduct site surveillance, was spotted with a rangefinder ranging targets, then lost, had advanced explosive devices on him with no military training. Nobody was placed in the most obvious spot to conduct counter-sniper operations. I was a sniper in the SEAL teams, Colonel. As soon as I got out of the SUV and I saw that water tower, I was like, that's exactly where I'd be. Put me right there. So obvious. After partisan attempts to bankrupt him, imprison him for 750 years, and countless depictions as a modern-day Hitler, are you surprised, sir, that a lot of Americans are like, maybe there's more to this story?
Okay. On the night of. Since then, none.
Did you get any reports from any of your agents of anything fishy at the home?
I was briefed on.
Was there any silverware found in the home or trash?
I have nothing in the briefing that I was given, sir.
Was it extremely clean, almost like a medical lab? Were you given any of those reports?
I was not giving any of those details, sir. I can't.
Okay, that's what I'm hearing. Interesting.
Welcome back to Tipping Point. I'm your host, Kara McKinney, a teenage volunteer firefighter and traditional Catholic altar boy whose father is struggling through chemotherapy, leaving the 15-year-old to take care of his 93-year-old great-grandmother by himself for hours each day, is the latest target of the FBI. The resulting raid on the family's home left them dragged out of their home at gunpoint, handcuffed, and then locked inside a van. Instead of tracking down the high-level criminal organizations running mass looting sprees that have cost businesses billions of dollars and have made cities incredibly dangerous and even more impoverished than they already were, well, they decided to make up a crime instead, whole cloth, to entrap a defenseless teen for political points. Because like I keep saying, the current incentives for career advancement at the FBI and the DOJ are political points, not going after bad guys, because with the way the left is going, the criminal you arrest today could be tomorrow's hero. So what these feds did was create online group chats and message boards that purposely use traditional Catholic and conservative imagery and memes to lure in users online. From there, they provided friendship and camaraderie to many lonely and disaffected people, like this homeschooled teenager who had been given a cell phone for the first time in his life so that he could better communicate care needs for the elderly relative he was caring for. And since he was bored, lonely, and was dealing with a whole host of depression-inducing situations, including recent deaths in the family, financial insecurity, and ongoing health issues of his dad and great-grandmother, he easily got sucked into these message groups. But since this was a Fed entrapment scheme, they began upping the ante, introducing more vile rhetoric hidden under the guise of edgy political insights, and asking the young teen to take pictures of himself outside with a ski mask on, or to print pictures of memes to leave at parks, and even to take pictures with his family's guns. All decisions he has since apologized for and says he deeply regrets. This didn't go on for too long, and eventually the teen felt his conscience gnawing at him, and so he deleted everything, and then he left the chat. This made the FBI believe that he had gone dark, meaning that a massive attack was imminent. But once they began investigating for a warrant, they came up empty-handed. However, that didn't stop them. The kid had only broken free of the fake rhetoric they were trying to force on him to create a crime that didn't previously exist. You know, back in the day, sting operations were done when crimes were suspected. They weren't used to create crimes that don't exist. It's a difference between infiltrating a known extremist web chat and creating one by dragging in lonely people who are incapable of anything violent, making them feel like they finally have friends. And so they say some stupid stuff just to have someone listen to them and finally care about them. And next thing you know, they're being arrested. We saw that with the Whitmer Fednapping hoax in Michigan. If the kid is going to get arrested for saying extremist things, well, the people who fed him those lines were the feds. He didn't come up with this stuff on his own. So why aren't the feds being arrested for saying all that? Anyway, after the raid, the feds found nothing, of course, and so they gave up on their entrapment scheme, left the kid with a misdemeanor conviction for breach of peace, and then went after his dad, the dad and the dad's brother, for letting the teen safely shoot under their supervision because the feds said they were allowing a political extremist to shoot. It's insane, and it's bankrupted the family, and the feds don't care. They literally created a storm of pain and misery for this family who was already dealing with so much. And now adding insult to injury after making up fake crimes, they're leaving them, the family, with the bills. The father wrote, quote, "I've been reluctant to seek help, but the threat of losing our home has become very real. I work with the homeless for a faith-based nonprofit organization, and my brother manages a family-owned butcher shop. My wife stays at home and homeschools our younger children while managing a small homestead. We're paying legal bills by not paying other bills. Our credit is extended as far as it can go so our kids can have Christmas. The mortgage is a few weeks behind and we have zero breathing room for any unexpected expenses at this point. Our son is racked with guilt and believes himself to be at fault for our dire financial straits. While it is very humbling for me as someone who has always provided for others to ask for help, I know it is sometimes necessary, and for us, that time has come," end quote. Now, thankfully, the Give, Send, Go page for the Ruffini family has already exceeded its $22,000 goal. Any extra money will be saved for possible future legal expenses. This is what the feds mean by those memos, remember, we got from the FBI about going after traditional Catholics and other Christians.